Well, I just thought I'd do a quick video on how to kind of tune and adjust the trigger on a Beeman QB78 air rifle. I've already taken this whole part, the whole thing out of the stock. I'm not going to show how to do that. It's real simple. There's videos on YouTube on how to do that. And then what you're going to do is, you don't really even have to take this part off, but it makes it a little easier to see what you're doing. So you just take out these two screws. And then just kind of pry it a little bit until that plate comes off. Be careful, but there's really nothing that can fly out. So anyway, this is what you see when you look inside. And a couple of things to notice. Okay, this piece here, up in here, it is holding the hammer back from coming up and striking the valve. Okay, so the way this works is this piece here, your trigger, and that piece there are just right there. There's a little bit of contact right there. And when you squeeze the trigger, this starts to move out of the way, and that is gonna let go. So just watch this and you'll see what happens. Okay, so that's that's what happens when you take a shot. All right, so the way they usually come from the factory is there's a lot more travel to the trigger, and it's usually this piece is way up in here. So what you got is there's three adjustment screws. There's this adjustment screw, and then there's one that goes through here, and you access it through this end hole. Okay, so, and the same thing with these others. There's holes, and you have to have a really small screwdriver to get in there. But what you do, okay, what this top one does is it only lets this piece go back so far until it stops against that, which means that this cannot travel up there. So what I like to do is just adjust it so there's maybe there's probably about 1/8 of an inch before it lets go. Okay, so you're gonna turn this. From the factory, you're probably gonna turn it inward so that this moves away from that. Okay, so that is gonna be how much trigger travel you have. And see, I have very little travel. Okay, and now this one here, this stops your trigger from going back. So basically, I guess you could call it an over travel screw. And that's kind of cool that they put one on these guns. Some other guns you will put a screw through here so that you can adjust it against the back of the trigger. But anyway, so what you want to do with that is, or what I like to do with that is turn it in until your trigger only goes just a hair past this releasing. That way you don't have a whole bunch of over travel. It just feels really nice. And okay, now this other one that you're adjusting here, that's a spring, and that's just gonna adjust how much tension, how much I guess how many pounds your trigger pull would be. Well, not even that, because this also helps determine that, but it just makes the trigger either stiffer or less stiff. And you can just adjust that however you like. You know, I mean, same thing with all of these, just adjust them to where you feel comfortable. But compared to the way it comes from the factory, just adjusting those 3 screws is gonna really change the way that this thing feels. Now, another couple of things you can do if you want is where these 2 pieces make contact, you can polish that. And to do that, you just pull this trigger here is held on by a pin, and basically it's just going to lift up. And the same thing with that, except for this one's a little harder because there's a spring, and you got to watch which way that's going, you know. And you may have to remove the trigger group from the tube, and that's really no big deal. You just loosen these 2 screws here, but this one here, they both do other things, so you might not want to get into that until you figure out what's going on with this gun. But this one also holds on this cap and up in that cap. So basically, once you do those adjustments, then you just put your cover back on, put those 2 screws back in and tighten them up, and you're really going to notice a big difference if you do this. And it's a real simple thing to do. You don't have, the only disassembly is to you know, take the action out of the stock, and that's it.